by Mayor Baker.
Lord, we're here tonight to do city business and to do the best we can for our residents. It is nice to see the turnout tonight before the festive holidays. We ask for your compassion and your very oversight of the people who take care of the people who take care of the people who are sick, as they are the blessed ones. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. I would like to invite up the students from our Miami Springs Senior High School Band to lead us in the national anthem, as well as the Pledge of Allegiance. National anthem too. Whenever you all are ready, we can hear you again. We have some of the officers with the band that are going to come in and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance as well. They're coming this way through the back.
Chan.
No. Face the flag. Hands over your heart. Begin whenever you are ready.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. How many of you all are out there? Eric's going to give you all a pin. And then the rest of you all, we make sure everybody gets one. Give it back to Eric. I trust you. Thank you so much. Thank you guys.
I'm gonna have to show him tomorrow.
A separate microphone when I need that. All right, we do. Can you all hear me back there okay? Yeah, we do a lot of presentations, and lucky as a mayor, I get to make presentations to folks. This is one that I feel is very important. I ask the entire council to come up here and join me, and I will now ask Ms. Joellen Phillips to join us as well, please. This is great, because if there's one person that over my 16 years being involved in government here in the city has told me, please make damn sure you don't make a big deal about me ever, has been Joellen. But if there's ever been a person that deserves for a city council and a city to make a big deal over, is Ms. Joellen Phillips. Ms. Joellen Phillips, you had so many hats when it came to the Curtis Mansion, but what was your official title? Executive Director, but and slave to us here in this community. Joellen used to be a councilwoman here in the city of Miami Springs. Some of you might not know that. Joellen has been involved in this building that we're in today for many years now, and she might not want to take full credit for it, because she'll tell you it took a lot of folks behind this beautiful building that we're in, but shining a light on Glenn Curtis as a whole. His career is it's a major feat in itself, and she's focused herself on that. And this has just been one focal point of her career. But I felt it was very important, and council and the city staff obliged, that we have our city council meeting recognizing and honoring Joellen Phillips right here at Curtis Mansion. Would you not agree this was a great place to do so? Yeah. She's already telling me, shut up and get it over with. It wasn't Billy. I can tell you that there's been only 2 of these that I've ever been involved with as a council member or as a mayor, giving away. And today, we are presenting the key to the city of Miami Springs, presented to Joellen Phillips, for 22 years of outstanding commitment and dedication to the Curtis Mansion and to the city of Miami Springs, presented this 12th day of December 2016. Just like in those great infomercials. But wait, there's more. She can't see that yet. We felt how much more important would it be to give her a piece of Miami Springs. So City Council obliged, and you get to take one of these home for yourself to put it up in your new home, away from home, because this is your home. It says City of Miami Springs, Curtis Parkway. What better parkway to give you a sign of than Curtis Parkway? That is to you. We love you. We're going to miss you.
I'm all in. I'm all in, baby.
Smile. What does that mean?
It means you got a picture.
Enrique, come a little bit closer here so you can take a picture. Come up a little bit. There you go. Perfect. All right. A few words from you, please. Yeah. Brief, and you try not to cry.
Right here, I got a napkin here. Thank you. As I look out into this audience, I see faces that have been there all the way along the way. It wasn't 22 years, it's been 35 years. By the way. But,
Thanks for you, I promise. Yes, sir.
At any rate, this is such an honor. It has been all, and you were just a child.
I was right here.
When this all started. Jan and I got on city council just about the same time, many, many years ago. But I look out here and I see the faces all the way through who have been consistent, one way or the other, but we're still here in Miami Springs. I can't tell you how difficult it was to make the decision to go live closer to my granddaughters and leave this place that has been so much to me. Please carry it on, each and every one of you. Love and respect each other. Keep it wonderful. This is the best place in all of Miami-Dade County to live. So please. Come to the mansion a lot, okay? Thank you all very much. Thank you.
What do you guys think?
You have that mic.
This is yours. Let me give it to the new executive director. She's in charge now. She took everything. Yeah. Is Robert and Lynn Castellanos here with us today? Castellanos family? Alrighty. The Castellanos family's home was designated as Yard of the Month for December. Go by and check them out at 500 Westward Drive. I'd like to see our Yard of the Month. Okay, we're moving on now to open forum. Nova Trabanco?
Yeah.
Welcome, ma'am. Come on up. Yes, ma'am. That is there for you. I pointed that way because that's where it usually is. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Norma Trabanco. Like I mentioned, I was invited to do a presentation on hospice services. I work for Vitas Hospice Company. We are the largest hospice organization in the United States. We serve 1,900 patients on a daily basis here in Dade County. Presently, we are serving about 5 different patients in the home area here and also in the nursing homes. And the main reason that they invited me to do this presentation is you have a general idea what hospice is all about. Hospice was created here in Dade County. This organization was created 32 years ago. And we are for-profit now, but at the beginning we were a non-profit. It was created by a social worker and a nurse. And that little company that was created with 4 people now employ 1,700 employees. So I'm one of them. What I do is education in the community. My specialty is Alzheimer's dementia. Specialize in educating the families in the community relating to this illness. Unfortunately, in Dade County alone, we have 140,000 people affected by Alzheimer's dementia. We are the first county in the United States having the highest percentage of people with Alzheimer's dementia, 538,000 people in the state of Florida. We're the second state in the nation having the highest percentage of people with Alzheimer's dementia. And we take a great pride to say that all our employees are certified in Alzheimer's dementia. And any other illness. Hospice is an amazing organization in the sense that it's paid 100% by the government. Means that you can come from any country and you only have to be 24 hours in the United States and get diagnosed with a terminal ill, and you will be able to get hospice the same way that everybody that is in this room. We have to invest about $400 million every year in care of people who do not have legal status. We pay for everybody. This law was created by Reagan in 1982, that every American, anyone that is in this country, is entitled to get hospice service. And what is hospice? Hospice is a specialized nursing services that provide doctors, nurses, assistants, chaplains, and a social worker that today she's from this city who invited me to do this presentation. Hospice is an amazing organization, and many of us got really, really scared when we hear the word hospice. But believe it or not, what we do is we help you with the transition. We help the family. And Vitas means life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for coming. Daniela Rodriguez, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. My name is Daniela Rodriguez. I am 17 years old, and I've lived in Miami Springs all of my life. And I've loved this town ever since I can remember. This town has been always so supportive of me, starting from my family, my neighbors, my classmates, even our own town leaders. When I won a national award for one of my engineering research projects, the city was the first one there to congratulate me, and they gave me a proclamation. How cool is that? I was so honored, and it was an amazing experience. I guess my point is that by no means is my next series of statements an attack on the city I love. On the contrary, it's an effort to save it. I was reading in the Miami Springs Gazette that they wanted to start building on the golf course. Our golf course. The one I've grown up next to all of my life. I was deeply saddened because I started thinking of all the memories that I had on that golf course, and I heard that the first plan was to build a senior center. I understand that new infrastructure is needed and the improvement of our city's facilities is very important. Totally agree with that. However, we are messing with our golf course. It can have detrimental effects on our city, our tourism, our environment, our soil, our city's small town charm. When we begin to allow development on the golf course, who knows what will be next? I have a little anecdote. I have a neighbor who happens to live in front of me and has been living there for about 75 years. Can you believe that? That's wonderful. That's actually like an asset to like our city, like that they've been living here for so long. That shows how historical our city is. Her stories of Miami Springs are so beautiful and historical that I've been actually thinking of writing a book about her stories. She used to live in New Jersey, and when she came down to Miami for her honeymoon 75 years ago, she never went back to New Jersey. She knew that this was her home. She bought the house that she lives on in Miami Springs on Palmetto Drive, and with 95 years of age, she has lived and seen students right into school on a horse to seeing electric cars driving on the road. What drew her to this town was its charm. Miami Springs is a treasure, a safe haven amidst tough dog-eat-dog, I'm gonna slit your throat if you don't give me that parking space type of world. So Miami Springs is one of those towns that you see in the movies and everyone goes, oh, I wish I lived in that cozy, homey town like that. And I know, not making them feel bad, but in my mind I'm really thinking, I live in a town like that. I live in a town where I can say it's the best city or town in Miami-Dade. But if you pass this piece of legislation that allows builders to build and develop on our beloved golf course, then it's opening a Pandora's box that can lead to the destruction of our city. The old fabled Greek legend of Pandora's box is when they were so anxious to open the box, they wanted to see what was inside of it, see what was inside. They ended up realizing that when it opened, all this destruction came out, ended up like ruining the society. And if left unchecked, who knows what will happen. So pretty much, you may not agree with me, but that's the power of democracy, where you can be the minority and you can go out and speak freely about what you believe in, and people will listen to you with open ears. That's what's so amazing about America, and that's why I'm so proud to live here. And I've taken my first Holy Communion pictures on the golf course. I've taken my 15th pictures, my 15th pictures on the golf course. And one day I wish to take my wedding pictures on the golf course. And if it's torn down by adding a senior center, it fuels the fire by giving more way to development. And as soon as we know it, the golf course may cease to exist. Once the small town charm is lost, the generations and generations of tradition, love, and sense of community might be lost forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Campbell. I'm sorry we moved the meeting and made you come all the way over here.
I know. It's like, thank you all for allowing me to speak tonight on behalf of my family and all my neighbors. I'd like to start out by saying that I'm not a naysayer and I'm not a rebel rouser. I'm just a concerned citizen of Miami Springs, and I truly love this city. I love the Curtis Mansion, and I have the benefit of living right across the street at 501 Deer Run. That means a lot to me. I'm speaking tonight about the City of Miami Springs project that proposes possibly relocating the senior center to 500 Deer Run. I live at 501 Deer Run. The placement of a senior center at 500 Deer Run will have a direct impact and consequences on all residents of Miami Springs, and especially on the residents of Deer Run. The senior center is embarking on another project at the Curtis Mansion. I respectfully ask you to explore other options before you consider going forward with this senior center. This project will have a direct impact to Deer Run, to traffic, to lifestyle, and the values of all our homes, and as well as all the other residents that live around me as well. I say this because of the impact that the completed parking lot and parking spaces that were, I think they were completed about August or September, have already had specifically an impact to my property at 501 Deer Run and to my neighbor's property, the Stadniks. I was asked to speak on behalf of Kathy Stadnik tonight, only to say that she potentially may have damages to her project, to her property. I'm talking about vibration damages from the parking lot and the parking spaces that were completed. I regret to say that my family has no faith that proceeding with the senior center at 501 Deer Run will continue to have more damages, and I'm extremely concerned. My husband's concerned, and all the residents are concerned about moving forward. My opinion should have some weight on what you do from here forward with the senior center, and especially developing on our beautiful golf course property. I thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Have a good night. I'm very impressed, and I especially want to thank Joellen. She's done a remarkable job here, and I'm so proud to say that I'm a resident of this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Abraham Martinez. Welcome, sir.
Hi, good evening. My name is Abraham. I've been a resident of Miami Springs for the last decade, approximately, and could not have said better than the prior two speakers, especially Daniela. I'll summarize pretty much their thoughts. I don't want to regurgitate everything that they said, but in a nutshell, I strongly oppose any development on the golf course. I don't oppose improving our facility centers in our community, but I do strongly oppose any type of development in our golf course. We spent a lot of money improving, obviously, this facility we're in today, to not only start building other development around it, other fixtures and structures, which will definitely bring the beauty that this building brings to the golf course. I think it'll damage it. So for that reason alone, I oppose any type of development. Not only that, making one building is going to lead to 2, 3, and 4. And the lifestyle on this neighborhood is very quiet. And what's that gonna happen? You know, obviously more traffic, et cetera, you know, all the other things that go with it. And obviously impacting the values of our property. So I strongly oppose any type of development on the golf course. And I don't want to regurgitate everything they said, but that's what I'm going to say. Thank you.
Beautiful. That concludes our open forum. I'm hoping that all of you will stay towards the end if, I won't say if you truly care about, but because I know you do truly care about the potential of building anything on the golf course, you're really going to want all of the information, and I would expect that you either stay until the end when we do discuss some of those topics, or you'll pick up the phone and call some of us who, all of you who came up here and spoken of, have picked up the phone and called me before, but my phone didn't ring when it came to this topic. So if this is really important to you, you wait till the end, if you can, or until you hear us talk about specific details and some of the misinformation. And then also pick up the phone and call any of the council members and staff so we can get some factual information as opposed to a paid ad with misinformation put in the Gazette. I strongly encourage you to do so. Thank you very much. Moving on to our next agenda item. Approval of council minutes, 5/8, November 14, 2016, regular meeting.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion on the item? Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Petrolanda.
Yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Yes.
Councilman Buckner.
Yes.
Mayor Garcia.
Yes. There is no reports from boards or public hearings. We're moving straight to a consent agenda. Mr. Manager?
Item 8A, these are items that are funded and or budgeted. Item 8A, approval of city attorney's invoice for November 2016, the amount of $12,453.75. 8B, recommendation by Recreation that council authorize the issuance and or execution of a purchase order to AutoNation Chevrolet utilizing a cooperative purchase with Florida Sheriff's Association under bid number 16-VEL24-.0 and an amount not to exceed $19,603 for a Chevy Silverado 1500 two-wheel drive as funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 16-17 budget pursuant to section 3111E5 of the city code. And 8C is a recommendation by finance that council approve an expenditure to Jumping Jack Productions in the amount of $1,500 for the December 2016 car show at the Circle this coming Saturday, December 17th. As funds were approved in the fiscal year 16-17 budget.
To the chair, motion to move items 8A, B, and C.
Second. First and a second, any discussion on consent agendas? Items? Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Petrolanda.
Yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Yes.
Councilman Buckner.
Yes.
Mayor Garcia.
Yes. Moving on to agenda item, all business, 9A. This is a discussion regarding fencing and resodding of the golf course property at 627 Eldrin Drive.
As backup information, let me read the memo to you. Following discussions with various council members regarding this property, I decided that an update of the subject was in everyone's best interest. Therefore, I am attaching the agenda memo and backup information from our meeting of October 10th, where this item was originally discussed, as well as the estimate of $2,900 for the cost of the fence. Further to that, I had Tom Nash, Public Works Director, provide an estimate of the cost of removing all of the asphalt in that area and resodding it. And that cost is approximately $5,400, which brings the total cost to about $8,300. If council directs staff to perform this work, we will need to do a budget amendment to fund the requested work from reserves since these costs have not been budgeted. At the October 10th meeting, the minutes are attached. Council decided to take no action on the item, but requested that I contact the property owner and negotiate a purchase price for the property. I spoke to the property owner in October, and he informed me that the property is currently on the market, and I've attached a listing for this package for $1.5 million. When I heard that figure, I decided not to end communications there, and that's where we're at right now.
Well, the intent of the inquiry for the purchase of the property was for a possible potential
Site for the senior center.
additional site for the senior center. as we've discussed, many other sites for the senior center. Okay. So going into the discussion of closing it off, I know this is information that the city staff has put together, and there is a certain cost to putting the fence back up, going down through the middle of that property and tearing up the asphalt and resodding. Can you state for the record what the total is to?
$8,300.
So is there any interest at this time to go ahead and move the fence and tear up that property? Councilwoman?
Yes. I originally brought this to council because it's our property. There's no longer any contract or anything with the business that shares that property. And I wanted to return the property to green space. Aside from the fact that I later find out that the property is for sale, most people are visual, so if you come look at a piece of property and then later find out that most of the parking lot is not going to be there because it belongs to the city, then there's an issue for the owner of the property. So why not remedy that by taking back the space, beautifying it, getting rid of the asphalt, putting in a fence, maybe putting in some benches so that the community can have a linear park, a small park where they can go and enjoy the sunset or do whatever needs to be done for the community. Reclaim the property that's ours. Reclaim it. That's why I brought it to council and wanted to see if we can, number one, afford it, and if it's feasible to go ahead and reclaim that part and maybe beautify it for, maybe we can get a couple of benches, and when you're walking around the golf course, you can sit there and catch your breath. That's why I would like for this to go forward.
Well, the fence that we will be putting up, separating the private property from our public property, would not be an area where people walk through. So we have, it's like an opening so people could walk into that area and do so. Is that something that you're proposing occurs?
Well, yeah, we can, like a little opening, and people can put in some benches or something. That's just a thought. We don't have to do that, but.
No bad ideas in brainstorming.
Well, you walk around, at least it's one place where you can sit down, read a book, have a picnic, take your kids. There's apartments there across the street. There's really no green space for the apartments. And the kids, you bring them across the street, you have a little fun, and we go from there. Anything to reclaim the property and make it green. Anything. I'm open to anything.
Does anyone else have any input on this area of this property?
For the manager, through the chair, this is unbudgeted, correct? This is $8,300?
Correct.
We've not discussed this other than October 10th, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Sorry, I thought we had discussed that we were going to do a path through the back, and that's kind of what we had out there.
Well, that's one of the ideas that was proposed, like the councilwoman mentioned right now, maybe having a bench in that area, using it for potential green space. I don't think this is where we make a final decision as to whether or not to do it or not, but I think it's definitely getting the ball rolling in the right direction. If it's one thing, plenty of folks here, I don't know if there's anybody here that walk around the city, you'll see that green space you'd actually use is limited. So if there's a little place for you to sit with a bench somewhere around the outskirts of the golf course for residents to actually use it when they walk through there, that's one proposal that I'm willing to consider if we do so. I don't think tonight is the night for us to be approving over $8,000 expenditure to be removing a fence that's been up there for how long now? Has that property been, I guess, leased out or used by the private business entity?
Well, I think his lease was for 4 years. It ended a few months ago.
Besides his, I'm talking about for how long was it before Dr. James's property when he was using it? How many years has it?
Dr. James had it for approximately 30 years.
Okay, so his 30 plus this
34, 35.
About 34, 35 years. I didn't hear anybody say no, don't make it, green space. But what we should do is consider what it is that gets done there. We shouldn't just fly off the cuff and put up a fence and not know what we're going to do with it. So we can give direction to staff to see what could possibly be done with that area and look at potential costs. And then when we have our next budget, we can say, let's consider this, let's do it right, as opposed to let's not be hasty with putting up a fence and not knowing what to do with it. Yes, sir?
I think before you make a final decision, you should also check from a liability standpoint. because as a general rule, I don't know how you plan on designing it, but as a general rule, we don't allow pedestrians within the framework of the golf course. So it's that potentially, I don't know if the balls get in that area or not, but you should want to ask Paul about that to get an opinion from him. And then also when you're designing it, there should be a way to design it. If you want to make a green space, that's fine, but generally speaking, again, only the players are permitted on the golf course during rounds. It would be a safety hazard to have people walking through the course. And this would just be obviously on one side of it, but it's something to consider before you make a final decision on how you're going to.
I don't think we're looking at making a final decision tonight and getting recommendations from other council members and from staff and from a recreation department and our Board of Parks and Parkways and getting everybody to chime in, which I see there's a couple of members here today, which is great. But there's nothing wrong with us creating more green space if we can in the city of Miami Springs. But I think it's very important that we maximize the use of residents to the green space as well. Just bumping out a fence and putting grass and saying nobody can come in there and use it doesn't benefit the residents of Miami Springs. Putting some green space that can be used by folks, whatever the ideas may be, I think that benefits it. So when that time comes, we definitely did consider the liability aspect of it. Mayor Bain, you had something?
Well, why don't we put it to the Board of Park and Parkway to come up with a plan, what they foresee, what it would look like, and present it to us so we can see what they come up with, because they're a good board. Eric Ritchie does a great job with it, as he did with the memorial for the Marine. So let's go ahead and put it to them, and with coordination with Mr. Nash, and see what they come up with, what it would look like, and make the decision after that. That's what I would propose.
I'm in favor of it being a collaboration between the Board of Parks and Parkways and our recreation department, who handles the recreational aspects of our city. If it's just somewhere where they go to walk, or if it's a VITA course, where people walk through it in the area.
And I think they got to keep in mind that the proposal of the walk, to continue the walk around the golf course possibly can be an entranceway or a starting point for people to go from there and walk around the golf course. So I think there's things to consider before, not that we'll go forward with it, but consider to have a nice plan, do it right.
And it all costs money, so pushing it to the budget would be a smart thing to do as well. Yes, ma'am, I'd like to deal with that.
I concur with you. I was going to say, suggest that we have the board look into it, but I'd also like to see if we can do this as expeditiously as possible, and maybe find some money somewhere. William, if you can look, and if we can see if we come up with the funds, and maybe before the end of fiscal year, not wait almost a year to get it done.
The fiscal year ends in September.
Right,
So
so it's 9 months, 10 months, if we can, if something comes up where we have the extra funds, maybe, expedite it, then I would like to see that happen. And I'd like to see it, even though it was a parking lot for 35 plus years, I'd like to see it not be a parking lot for 35 plus years. So if that could be something that the board and Parks and Parkway can bring into their agenda in their next meeting, I would like to see that happen. Start the wheels going. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? All right, we'll move forward.
So we have consensus on that, give it to the board?
Well, listen, you have consensus to give it to the board, but there should be other entities involved in it. I'm not in favor of all the
Definitely, it has to be,
staff, all, golf, our rec board, all folks should be involved in the process.
When you give it to a board, what you're going to get is you're going to get a broad brush approach to it. That would make sense going to the administration.
Of course, well, that's what I'm saying. Once we get to administration and having a couple of options of what to do, then you can present that back to the Board of Parks and Parkways, and they can figure out how to make it, a little nicer, and how to, refine what staff has come up with. And if we still think it's not a good idea, we want to put it to the Board of Parks and Parkways. We have 2 meetings a month starting in January. There'll be plenty of time to do so. But if the city manager can find the money for it, and we have a plan, I don't see a reason why we can't do it right away. But let's do it. Okay, moving on to the next item. Going to a new business, a resolution. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, sir. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, determining the necessity and appropriateness of the acquisition of equipment pursuant to a master lease with SunTrust Equipment Finance and Leasing Corporation, authorizing the execution and delivery of equipment, Schedule number 7, to the master lease agreement number 04298, authorizing the city manager / finance director and other authorized city officers to execute the lease documentation, evidence the validity of the lease documents, and affix the city seal where required, directing the execution of any additional lease documentation by the proper officials and officers of the city in order to effectuate the subject transaction, declaration of transaction compliance with Internal Revenue Service regulations, and effective date. This involves the purchase of 2 trucks that were previously approved by council in October for the sanitation truck.
I entertain a motion for the resolution.
I'll give you a motion to move.
Second.
Well, first and a second, any discussion on the item? Yes, ma'am?
This is going to be a lease, no, we're not going to purchase, we're going to lease.
It's a capital lease, so at the end of the 5 years, we own the equipment.
Okay.
It's a base document. This is number 7. We've, over the years, purchased 6 different items, and they've been paid off or are in the process of being paid off. This is the next one.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Becerra.
Yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilman Bain.
Yes.
Councilman Button.
Yes.
Mayor Garcia.
Yes. Moving on to 10B, approval of the third amendment with Meridian Management LLC for 1 year period.
This involves something that we've been dealing with for a number of years. We have an agreement with Meridian Advertising, that management group, that we have a lawsuit pending against the city. We entered into a settlement agreement. It had been extended at 1 year intervals every time annexation did not go through with the county. It basically provides an opportunity for that company to provide billboards in the annexation area should the city ever be successful in annexation. This is going to be our third, as you see here, amendment. I did have a discussion with them, and all the prior agreements have been for 1 year. This one is also, but there is an exception in paragraph number 1 that says, basically, in summary, that if we do in fact have a new application filed and new annexation reports being considered by Miami-Dade County, at the time of the year expiration, which would be 12 months from now, they would have an additional automatic 1 year extension should it be under consideration. The good part of it is really in number 2. We were able to negotiate the agreement of Meridian to absorb all of the city costs, if any, that the city might incur in the refiling of any annexation application or any reports that the county may require, so that if the city were required to pay any amount of money at all to continue the annexation efforts, Meridian has agreed to pick it up, subject only to their approval in advance of what the amounts are. If in fact, also in paragraph 2, they fail to give us agreement, then it is the city's option to forestall the annexation effort and declare the agreement and the extension null and void. It really is a very good deal for the city from the standpoint that if we're going to continue annexation and efforts to annexation, this gets somebody else to pay for those efforts at this point, because the city's paid enough over the years for it.
Okay, good.
Sounds like a good deal for the city.
Sounds like a...
There's revenue realized by the city, obviously.
The revenue would only be realized if we actually got annexation. There's the agreement is in there. Right, and then they would be able to put billboards. As a matter of fact, one of the extensions, I'm not sure if it was the second one, the first one or the second one, we, as a condition of doing an extension there, we increased the price that would be paid to the city for the billboards.
Now, when you say billboards, just make it clear for the folks in the audience, that would only be
in the annexation,
in the potentially annexed area west of the FEC rail yard, and nowhere within the city.
Nowhere in fact in Miami Springs. And there is a limit to what they can be and how many they can be.
We're talking Mile Mary Road.
Yes, substantial amendment.
All the way out there. Okay, I'll entertain a motion on the approval.
Motion to move, Mayor.
I'll second it.
I have a first and a second. Discussion on the item?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
What's the benefit to them, that extension, if it's on consideration by the county?
Well, because they want to be able, right now they have an exclusive agreement with Miami Springs. If they still feel that Miami Springs is going to get annexation there. Some of the rest of us are not so certain. But we are certain of one thing, I am certain of one thing, that Miami Springs should not spend one more nickel to do it, and that's why I negotiated this part in there. It's to their benefit. If Miami Springs gets it, they're going to have rights automatically that they wouldn't have to negotiate. They've already been negotiated. So that's the benefit to them. And that's why they're willing to sell.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? I have a first and a second. Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Bettolano?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Bain?
Yes.
Councilman Butler?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes. I'm bumping up agenda item 10D, a recommendation from the police department.
Which one, Mayor?
10D.
10D. This is a recommendation by the police department that council approve the execution of a 2-year lease agreement with Peterson Harley Davidson of Miami for 4 new fully equipped 2017 police motorcycles as a source provider in the amount of $18,000 fiscal year 16-17 expense pursuant to section 3111E6C of the city code. This is our let me read the memo from the chief so that you can have some background information. Request approval of a 24-month lease and approval for fiscal year 16-17 expense of $18,000 for 4 motorcycles at $750 each per month. This was first implemented in April 2015 and has proven to be more cost-effective as well as providing the most up-to-date equipment and technology for our agency. See attached lease agreement between the City of Miami Springs and Peterson's Harley Davidson of Miami LLC. And the chief is here if you have any questions.
I'll take motion to approve the recommendation from the police department.
Second, need a second, and for discussion purposes, the councilwoman and I were laughing because her husband is a motorman, and he's going to be getting one of these new motorcycles, but she does not have to recuse herself because it is a city vehicle, and she jokingly said, well, he's going to retire soon, that's the gift he wants from the city, he wants to keep his order. Maybe we can work on that, Lord knows he's earned it.
What a freak.
We'll talk about that when we get to the end, okay? Well, I have a first and a second. Any discussion on the item? Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Bettolano?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Bain?
Yes.
Councilman Butler?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes. Yeah. Although there's another item I'd like to bump up, if I do, I'm going to get assassinated with the dirty looks if I bump this item every time. We're going to go to C, recommendation by the finance that council award city RFP number 01-1617 to Amber 18 Home Services, the most responsive and responsible proposed F&B operator, and authorize the execution of a 5-year contract for food and beverage operation services for the Miami Springs Golf and Country Club commencing January 2017.
For discussion purposes, Mayor, the city advertised the request for proposal 01-16/17